Hello friends, welcome to Learning. My name is Dr. Ben. Today we are going to learn some awesome stuff. Learning is for everyone. Let's make it fun and let's enjoy. Hello and welcome back to the Intermediate Excel series. In this lesson, Lesson 4, Managing Tables and Range Data, we're going to take a look at Module 2, Configuring Table Format Options and Naming Tables and Ranges. We had fun in Module 1, Understanding Tables and Ranges. If you have not checked out Lesson 4, Module 1, I encourage you to do so. If you have not done so already, go ahead and subscribe below and select notifications to notify you of the latest lessons and modules. In this Module 2, we will configure table options, including inserting a header row, table rows, table columns, and a table totals row, adding a banded effect row, and removing rows and columns. We'll also discuss naming tables and ranges. Let's take a look at the learning objectives for Module 2. At the end of this module, you will be able to configure table style options, insert and manage rows, columns, and the total number of rows, define a named range, and name a table. Let's take a look at configuring table style options. In Lesson 4, Module 1, I discussed with you how to quickly create a table with a predefined table style. Sometimes a predefined style is not enough. Let's take another look at the delicious Donut Shop worksheet that you see in front of you. Note the column headers. We have item number, donut type, baked date, unit cost, and selling price. By selecting the last column, checkbox in this Table Styles Options group of the Table Tools Design ribbon makes the selling price bold. This column becomes bold. But guess what? I can't see that now because I'm not in a table. I'm still in my range. In order to get that table, we're going to create a table by using our Control-T function, or shortcut function that is. So I'm going to select any cell within the range, Control-T. Notice that my range has been set. My header tables has been checked right here in my checkbox. And I'm going to click OK. I now have my table. I can now click into any cell and see my Table Tools Table Design ribbon. What I mentioned earlier was that if I select my table styles right here, table styles option, and last column, the last column becomes bolded. Let's just try that out. There it is. The last column becomes bolded. Let's uncheck that. In this table design or table styles option, we have a bunch of descriptions available for us here. Header row right here is checked now. The header row applies, or actually removes, the header from the first row of the table. If I uncheck that, my header row is gone. Select it again, my header row is back. As you see here in the description, the header row turns on or off the header row of the table. A header row formats the top row of the table specifically. Our next description is total row. The total row, let's mouse over that. The total row turns on or off the total row of the table. The total row is a row at the end of the table which displays totals for each column. So I'm going to go and check that and look what happens. It gives me a total right there. Remember, according to our description here, the total row is a row at the end of the table which displays totals for each column. Our next description is going to be the first column. Let's take a look at that first column. Mouse over. The first column displays specific formatting for the first column of the table. It primarily does the same thing as the last column. It bolds the first column. The banded columns. The banded columns, as you see here, displays odd and even columns with alternating shades for ease of reading. I will check that, and there we go. Our banded rows does similar. The banded rows displays banded rows in which even rows are formatted differently from the odd rows. In other words, the banded row displays odd and even rows with alternating colors or shades. If I uncheck that, they're gone. Placing it back, they're there. The filter button. The filter button toggles auto filter on and off. If I uncheck that, I no longer have my filters for my columns. Checking again, my filters have returned. So as you can see here, these particular descriptions are very important for your tables, as we discussed in Module 1. The filters allows us to go through and answer questions that we may have about our data. Let's look further into inserting and managing rows, columns, and the total number of rows. After you create an Excel table, you can add or remove rows and columns by using different methods. Methods such as we discussed earlier, the resizing of a table right here, entering text or numbers in a cell just below the last row, pasting data into a cell, or inserting columns and rows between existing columns and rows. Let's take a look at that resize command. We're going to select any cell within a table in our worksheet here. We're going to go to our Table Tools Design ribbon in the Properties section right here and select Ribbon. Select Resize Table. Notice that our range appears. I'm going to add some data or add a few columns to our range here. I'm going to go to my range here and I can add a cell and change that to reflect H12 and click OK. Notice we've increased our range by using the resize table. Let's say I want to go through and enter some data into my table. I want to add a row or add a column to my table here. How do I do that? To add a row to a table, we're going to start entering the data in a cell below the last table row. That's down here. When I start entering data, the table should expand to include the new row. I'm entering my data here, and you see my table has already expanded. There we are. Let's try this again. I'm entering my data, and my table has expanded. There's 25, and enter. The same is applied, or the same function or theory is applied to the columns here. I want to add a column to the right of my table. To add a column to the right of the table, start entering text or numbers in the cell. Let's say 30, enter. There's our new column. Remember, when you add to the tables, you must add it to the right of the table, the rightmost table, or rightmost column. To paste data that you have in other worksheets to this particular worksheet, the same can be applied. To add a row, paste the data in the leftmost cell below the last table row. I'm going to make up some data here. Let's say 70 data. Okay, I have a worksheet that I have some information or data. I want to paste it to this table here. I hit Control C, move over, go to my leftmost column below the last table row, insert. Notice my table has been expanded. So you can see it. I'll do it again. There we are. Now, to add a column, paste the data to the right of the table's rightmost column. I'm going to paste it over here. I'm going to create some data here, 400. Let's just try those three. Selecting those three pieces of data, copy, pasting. My column has been created. To add a column, paste the data to the right of the table's rightmost column. Now, if the data pasted has as many or fewer cells than the table on that column, the table expands to include all the cells in the pasted range. Let's say I want to do this here. Clicking out of that, let's say 400, and I want to add this over there. Hit copy. Great. Remember, as many or fewer cells than the table expands to include the cells. However, if I have extra cells, look what happens. If I have extra cells, go through, copy this from another worksheet, bring it over. I want to include this in my table. Look what happens. The columns are not created. If the data pasted has more cells than in the table column, the extra cells are not included as part of the table. You'll need to use the resize command to expand the table to include that particular data. Okay, let's get out of all this. Okay, escape out of that. Let's take a look at something else here while I'm clearing this out. Okay. So I want to insert data. If I'm on another worksheet and I want to insert some data from one worksheet to another, I can pick any cell that is not part of the header and right click to access that context menu. So right here, I'm going to right click and then choose insert table columns to the left or table rows above. There we go. Table columns to the left or table rows above. I'm going to click a column and it moves it from the left. I hit the cell again, right click, insert table row above. And notice that in my particular version, if I right click it again, insert, notice I have table rows above and not below. So take note of that. To delete the table rows or column in the table, the same thing can apply. I can go in here, right click, and delete table columns or table rows. Now make sure you have your cursor set on that table row or table column. You want to delete it. I want to delete this one right here. Right click this row. I want to delete my table rows. I can do that here, or I can go up here to my home tab and my insert column or my delete column. And I can go ahead and delete sheet column. Or delete table columns. There it is. I can delete from there. So we talked about the deletion and inserting of a column or row, adding data to a table, pasting data. It's all great. Let's take a look at entering a table row at the end of a table. We talked about this earlier in our conversation. If I had here, let me put that column back again that I had earlier. 400, 100, 200, okay. If I have that piece of data there, I want to use that automatic feature to total my rows at the bottom of my cell of my table. I simply click into any cell, go to table design, and click total row. Notice that it adds up a total from my initial table's last column. I can change this function by going into the drop-down menu from that total cell and change what I want to sum, I want average, none, or anything I want there. And I can also change the function by clicking more functions. I can change a function here by inserting a function for this particular column. Now, it's not limited just to that particular row alone. I can also go to this row, or this column actually, click my down arrow and choose sum. I can sum up this column. I can also sum this column as well. I can count here. I can do a count. 9 shows me 9. I can do something with the dates. I can count the dates right here. And I can also add the unit cost or average the unit cost right there. Anything you want right there. It's all based on that total. So on the totals, oops, go back in there. On the totals, I must click total row. If I uncheck it, everything's gone. Checking it back again, it's still there, which is good. So we discussed the total row. Let's move on to naming a table and its ranges. Naming a table and its ranges. Now, when you give a table a name or a range of a name, you're giving a meaningful name so that it means something to the user. So in case you give this worksheet to someone else, they understand what that table is. In our earlier modules, we discussed that each time you create a new workbook, Excel assigns a default name to the workbook according to the name convention, Book 1, Book 2, Book 3. For example, if I were to go out here and click File, Blank Workbook, notice Book 5, that's my naming convention. Same thing happens when I have a worksheet. You notice at the bottom. Excel creates sheet 1, sheet 2 as its default. Those absolutely mean nothing to me if I have 10 worksheets and it all named sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4. I must have a meaningful name so I'll know what's going on behind that tab. The same rule applies to a table. When you create a table, Excel gives you the table right here, table and the number. Table and the number. Let's say, for example, we're back in our donut worksheet here. Sheet 1 or table 1, table 5 does not apply. It doesn't mean anything to us. So what do? We have to go in here and create a meaningful name for our table. And how do we do that? We do that by creating valid characters. Using valid characters, always begin a name in your table with a letter, an underscore character, or a backslash. Use letters, numbers, periods, and underscore characters for the remainder of your name. So remember, when you create your name for your table, use valid characters. Begin the name with a letter. Do not begin the name with a number. Excel will not accept it. It will kick it back at you. Remainder of the names using letters, numbers, periods, and underscores. Let's see here. One main rule on naming a table. You cannot use the letter capital letter C, small c, capital letter R, or small r. These are reserved for shortcuts. Because they are already designated as a shortcut for selecting a column or row for the active cell when you enter them in the name or the go-to box. You'll also want to avoid using a space to separate the words. Spaces cannot be used in the name. You must have the name either in camel case or an underscore. Now here, consider doing the name as department sales, that's camel casing. Department underscore sales, name with an underscore, or first dot quarter, name with a period. Use unique table names such as sales, donuts, or net pay. Something along that line. Your maximum characters for naming a table is 255 characters. 255 characters. Remember, use unique names for your tables that are meaningful. So what we're going to do is rename a table. We're selecting a cell within our table. We've done that, and we're now back in our table design. If your table design has not come up, go ahead and click into that ribbon to bring up your table design ribbon. From there, we're going to go to the table design ribbon, properties group. The properties group is right here. And we're going to enter our name. We're going to enter the name donut cost. Notice I have the name donut underscore cost and not a spacing. Donut underscore cost and not a spacing, and click return. And there's our name. Clicking into it, my donut cost name is there, which is great. So I'm looking at this guy. I say, okay, fine. I want to go back to my name range. If I want to get back to my range, what do? I need to make this a range table again, and I can also define that range as well. To define this as my range, I must click into my cell first to get rid of the table. Go over to my tools and my tool design ribbon, convert to a range. My Microsoft Excel question comes up. Do you want to convert to a table range, to a normal table range? Clicking yes. And now I have my format for my range. Now to name my range, similar rules apply as we said with the table. Let's take a look at that real quick. For naming of our range, the same rules apply as with our table names. We also want to not use the capital C, small c, capital R, and small r, which are reserved for shortcuts. We want to avoid using spaces in our words, our name convention, and consider camel casing or names with an underscore, names the period. Use unique names so we can understand what that range is about. Okay, we're back at our spreadsheet here, and we're going to apply several different commands to create a name range. The first command we're going to apply is beginning with the name box. Our name box is right here, our name box. What we're going to do is select the range that we want to name. We're going to select our range from A3 all the way over to F13, release. We're going to go to our name box and type in a name. I'm going to call this donut cost range and select or press enter. Clicking out, clicking into the cells. Notice that my name box comes up with these cell names here, but I want to go to that specific range. I go to my name box, drop down my menu, select it. There's my range. Now, when you have a large data set, say hundreds and hundreds of columns, and you want to find out where to go for a range you named earlier, just go here. And it'll take you to that range. Let's look at working with the create from selection command. Create from selection command. We're going to name a range with the create from selection command. We're selecting the range that we actually want. This range right here again. I'm selecting that. We're now going to go to our formulas tab. Right here, we're already on there. Our formulas tab. Defined names. And then select create from selection. We're on define names group. Now create from selection. Notice our create from selection dialog box appears. From there, we're going to go down here and select what we want. We'll select the checkbox depending on the location of our rows and our headers too. If we only have a header row at the top of the table, we're selecting the top row. So I'm going to select that top row and click OK. Now watch what happens. I'm going to go back to my name box and look at this. I have a bake date, date range, donut type, item number. All of my header names are here in this name box. If I were to click out of that, and let's say I want to go to a selling price, I know it's there. I'm going to go to my, instead of clicking somewhere on here, I can go to my name box, selling price. And now I can start working on my data. I want to check on the donut type. Instead of going here like that, I can go to my name box, donut type. There we go. See how easy that is? It looks kind of simple now because we only have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. But when you have 100 columns and you know where you want to go, instead of scrolling through like so, vertically and horizontally and vertically, you know where to go based on the names of your range. Let's go to the define command to define our range. To do that, select the range you want the name again. I'm going to select this range right here again. This time we're going to go to the Formulas tab. We're already there. From there, we're going to go to Define Name Group, our Define Name Group, and select Define Name. So here, right-click. I can right-click on this. There we go. I want to do the down arrow, basically. I can do the other one. Define the name right here. And then tell us, what do you want to name this? I can name this anything I want here. The name field is there. The scope field is set to workbook by default. So this means that the name range is accessible from a worksheet of the workbook. If it only needs to be accessible from a specific worksheet, select the arrows from the drop down right here from where you want to go. Right now, keep it at workbook. We can add comments here if you want, and then the refer to is the actual range that we have in front of us here. In this, I'm going to name this donuts _ galore. Donuts galore. And you click OK. I can then go back to my name field. Let's say I'm in my home tab. Name field. And there it is. Donuts galore. There's my range. That's 2 ways we can look at the range now. Third way is through the name manager. So I'm going to go back again. Define the range name with the name manager. Select the range I want. I want this range here. Just these 2 right there. Select those I want. I'm going to go to my Formulas tab. From the Formulas tab, I'm going to go to my Define Name Group and select Name Manager. Name Manager. And then from there, I'm going to select New. Same thing applies. This one I'm going to call Jelly Donuts range. And I can make some comments here. Comment. And the same thing applies here. The scope is there, our comments are there, and it references the range I selected here, A11 through F12. That's my range. I'm going to select OK. And it comes up with the name manager. Now the name manager allows you to go through and see exactly what you've named in your ranges, which is kind of cool, huh? I'm going to click close. Clicking out of that, I'm going to go back to my name, and here you have Jelly Donuts range. Click that, it gives you your range. As you can see, as you go through here, this becomes very beneficial for you when you have a larger data set. Let's say I want to go back now and I want to edit and delete the name ranges that I created. Pretty simple. The name ranges cannot be managed through the name box right here. You cannot manage the names through the name box. You must go through the Name Manager. To do that, once again, we're going to go back to our Formulas tab, go into the Name Manager, and click in the Edit. You can edit here, anything you want right here in this range. And then click OK. Let's cancel for now. That's the editing portion. I can delete the range right here by clicking my delete button. It's going to ask you, are you sure you want to delete the name baked date? You can click OK or hit cancel. I can also take this by clicking on this and holding my control key and selecting which ones I want to delete. And you click delete. Once again, Excel will ask you, do you want to delete these animals? And you can say okay. And they're gone. So I want to go back and delete some more. Delete those. Control. Delete. They're gone. The only one that's left is my Donuts Galore. I can go back here, go to my name field. Donuts Galore is left. I want to go back here, my name manager. I want to edit that. I can include this row here. And there they are. That's my edit. Now I want to delete that, go back to Name Manager and hit delete. So now I have nothing in my Name Manager, and I now have nothing in my name box. As we said earlier, this feature comes in handy when you have a multiple data set, and it is very beneficial for you. All right, it's time for a knowledge check. Let's put our thinking caps on and let's go for our knowledge check. Knowledge check. Attempt to answer the questions presented. You may pause the video after each question to review. Return to the lesson when you are ready. The answers to each question will be displayed a few seconds after the reading of the question and possible answers. Let's begin. In Excel, in the Table Tools design box, what two table elements bold their columns when selected? Select two answers. A. Banded column. B. First column. C. Header row. D. Last column. The answer is, or the answers are, D. First column. D. Last column. True or false? To insert a column in a table, pick any cell in the table and right-click to access the context menu. Select Insert and then select Table Columns to the left. A. True. B. False. The answer is A. True. In Excel, if a named range needs to be updated or deleted, which command below would you use? A. Comment command. B. Go to command. C. Name manager. D. Selection command. The answer is C. Name manager. In Excel, when naming tables, duplicate names are allowed. A. True. B. False. The answer is false. Duplicate names are not allowed in naming of a table. Did you know? Table names appear in the name box. Select the name box arrow in the name box field, which is next to the formula bar, to see a list of all name tables in the workbook. Select any table from the list, and Excel will take you directly to that table, even if it's on another worksheet. That's good to know information. So, my friends, what did we learn from this Module 2? We learned to configure table style options, insert and manage rows, columns, and the total number of rows, define a named range, and name a table. This concludes our Lesson 4, Module 2. Please stay tuned for the next module. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope you learned something from this module and that you will put it to good use. Take care and have a great day. Goodbye.